is up, everybody? Welcome back to Papa Squeeze 307. Today we're in DCS World. I'm going to try to put some more of these out. Just for one, I really enjoy the game. I think you guys can enjoy the content. There is a lot of other YouTubers out there that have a lot better content than I have, just because we've been playing the game longer. But DCS World is Digital Combat Simulator. It is a flight sim geared around air combat. So there's a bunch of different aircraft that one can use. Right now we are in the F-18 Super Hornet. It is known as a study simulator in the fact that you've got to sorry, my head tracker's being goofy at the moment. See if I can adjust this really fast. There we go. Okay, that's better. But yeah, it's these modules, the jets are called modules that you purchase for the game. Like every button on this is, you can interact with it. It's pretty realistic. I try to explain things as I go, just so you guys know what I'm doing. I do have a HOTAS set up, so I have the joystick and the throttle controls. Each have buttons and switches on them, so a lot of these buttons that I'll be using will be mapped to like my throttle control, stuff like that. But this first little mission is just going to be show you the startup procedure. We'll take off from this airbase here, Nalchik, and we'll do just a little fly around and then land. There are, let's see, there's the Caucasus map, the Persian Gulf map. They just came out with the Southern Atlantic, so it's like the Falkland Islands, the like southern tip of South America. There is like a testing site in Nevada, I think one in like Europe, like Normandy. There's a lot of like World War II planes, and I'm missing one. It's like the Marianas, I think is what it's called, just like some islands. But yeah, this one will be no combat. We're just going to start the plane up. I'll kind of explain some instrumentation in the air, and then we'll go from there. So without further ado, first things first is we got to get our battery switch turned on, which is this switch here with my cursor's pointing at. I do have that one mapped, so I'm going to go ahead and flip that to give the aircraft power. We'll get our canopy closed. Arm our seat. There is training exercises that you can go through where they explain like the startup of the aircrafts and stuff. You're just gonna get like a fly-by-wire type from me because I don't remember everything they said. It's just kind of muscle memory, and I haven't played this in a while, so bear with me. I'm pretty much relearning myself as I go here. It's like trying to learn how to walk again, I guess. But after the battery switch is on, we are going to go ahead and power up our APU unit, the auxiliary power unit. This is the power unit that helps spool the turbine engines. While we're waiting to do that, we're going to go ahead and these are our radar and like our navigation system calibrations. Green light, you start with the right engine first, so we will crank the right engine with this switch, which I have mapped. Should hear that start to spool. While that's spooling, we'll get all of our displays turned on. And when you see 20% on the RPM buster down here, you want to take the right throttle into the idle detent, and that is going to give fuel to the engine to start it. So you should hear it start to ramp up. Once that gets running, it's going to turn on the generators for the right engine, which is going to give power to all of our systems here. You should hear some tones.
Roll left, roll left. Flight controls.
A lot of stuff that probably makes no sense. I'll try to explain it. The now that that's started, we're going to go ahead and do the same for our left engine. We'll watch the 20 on that. Okay, left throttle into the idle detent. We're going to turn on our O-Box. That's the onboard oxygen generation system. So that's what feeds oxygen for the pilot. We're going to uncage our SAI. And once those are started, the APU will shut off after a certain time, or when we do our test. I'll explain that here in a minute though. We want to make sure our flaps are in auto. So we're going to have to go through a bit test. So this is the bit page that you can see here. So you have basically all the systems on your aircraft. You know, test, all that good stuff. We need to go to our support page. So the MDI is the left, the right, and the center. I usually leave my navigation here, and then these two screens are going to have all your important information from, you know, fuel, how much fuel you have, your radar, your stores, meaning if you had weapons like bombs or missiles, right here's your ammo count for your gun, your nose-mounted gun. We just have 3 fuel tanks here in this F-18, so those external fuel tanks. But we want to go back to our support page in FCS. FCS stands for Flight Control Systems. So right now it's got a bunch of failures, those X's. We're going to reset those, and then we're going to go into a bit test for the FCS. The bit test means we're going to test all of the flight control surfaces on the aircraft. And normally you would hold this little lever looking thing here. I can't remember the name of it, but it's also mapped to Y on the keyboard. So we're going to press this button and Y at the same time. You'll see those start to move. And as that moves, you should be able to see the flaps and all that stuff going through their tests. And then you'll hear an audible tone when that test is done. We're all a go on the FCS. So once that's done, we're going to bring those flaps to half. And we're going to set our trim for takeoff. While we're here, we're going to go ahead and contact air traffic control. Request a startup.
Alchik, infield 1-1, request startup. Infield 1-1, Roger, cleared for startup.
Alright, so now that that's done, our flaps should be good. Like I said, every button in this aircraft you can touch. You can move it around, push buttons, all that good stuff. So just get out of those. Okay, so this master caution light's telling us that our instruments are not ready. I'm still learning a lot about that because I get that failure a lot, and I don't know if it's because I'm not waiting long enough for these to calibrate or what it is, but normally when I go through it, everything seems to work. By that I mean I don't have problems with you know, like my radar usually works and all that stuff. But what we're going to do next is we're going to test our warning systems. So this test switch right here, test circuit A and B. So you're going to see all the lights up here, all the warning lights for like APU fire, bleed air, all that stuff. We hold that switch until you hear the audible deedle at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and hold that switch in the test A position.
Engine fire left. Engine fire left. Engine fire right. Engine fire right. APU fire. APU fire. Bleed air left. Bleed air left. Bleed air right. Bleed air right.
Alright, that deedle gave us the tone that the test is completed. And you're supposed to do the same thing with B. So we'll go ahead and run test B.
Engine fire left. Engine fire left. Engine fire right. Engine fire right. APU fire. APU fire. Bleed air left. Bleed air left. Bleed air right. Bleed air right.
Alright, and now you can see we got those two warnings for left and right bleed air off. Bleed air is using the, like the compressor air inside the aircraft back here for multiple things like, AC, all that kinds of stuff. More in depth than how I explained it, but we got to turn that on by spinning this bleed air knob 360 degrees in a clockwise fashion, so it's going to be 4 right clicks. 2, 3, 4, and you should hear it, and the warning goes away. We're going to go ahead and reset that master caution light. Set our HUD up on this screen. Radar's still in a test. We should be good, and you should be able to see, if I can zoom in enough. We got 3 seconds for that thing to, I guess, calibrate. Normally you want to wait for that to be done. I'm assuming. I get that instrument DGO a lot. I'm gonna have to do some research on that. But, so we have the 2 MDIs, 3 MDIs, the center one and the 2 left and right ones. This is your friends. You do a lot of looking down most of the time. We have our HMD, so that's like the helmet display. As you see, when I look away, I have the HUD symbology in my visor. I am using a head tracker. I'm using a Grass Monkey Simulations head tracker. For those of you that don't know what that is, that's a infrared sensor that hooks to my headset, and then there's like a web camera that only picks up infrared light. So when I turn my head right, my character turns right. It's pretty handy, adds to the immersion. If I want to look down and find a switch, I'm just barely looking down at the bottom of my monitor. My eyes are still on the screen, I'm just moving my head around. So in a dogfight, you can be looking all over the place. But now that we have all that done, we've got our FCS bits done. We're gonna go ahead and release our parking brake, which is here. Parking brake is off. We're gonna go ahead and contact traffic control and request a taxi.
Nalchik, in field 1-1. Request taxi to runway. Enfield 1-1. Roger. Clear to taxi to runway 6.
Go ahead and give it some throttle. This is the right taxiway. It looked like a taxiway, but we're gonna take it anyways. I'll go ahead and get us taxi to the runway and see you guys just before takeoff.
Enfield 1-1. Roger. You are cleared for takeoff already. Climb 300 at QFE 28.46.
Alright, so we just got the clear to take off here. I'm going to stop on the runway real quick. Just to look over some other things quickly before we go here. So, I just wanted to go over the HUD with you real quick so you can kind of understand what's going on here. So on the HUD, you have your heading, the top. You have our airspeed, our altitude. That stands for nose wheel steering, meaning when you're on the ground, you're not going fast enough for your your rudder inputs to yaw you in the air on the ground. These here are your angle of ascent or descent, and then this little thing that looks like a circle with the lines coming off of it looks like the back of an airplane. That's the actual trajectory of your aircraft. It'll make sense when we're airborne. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull forward on my wheel brakes, which is just basically like pushing my rudder pedals forward down there. I'm going to go to full military power with the afterburner, and we'll begin taking off. Here it's just slight rudder input. Until we get enough speed. So flaps to auto gear up. We are airborne. All right, so now that we're airborne here, so now you can see that symbol. That's the trajectory of the aircraft. So that's the, if you were to point that way out, that's where the aircraft's going to be. Right now we're in a positive climb, 5 degrees. Then you can see our climb rate here. Airspeed, our Mach, our G-force. ATC is auto throttle control, so it's basically cruise control is what I'm running right now. It's going to do its best to hold that speed. We're going to go ahead and level out here, and we'll go put our autopilot on for our altitude hold. Autopilot, barometric altitude. That's going to level us out as best as it can. There you can see it's leveling out. Or we could go radar altitude if we wanted to. So our fuel screen, that gives us our total, internal. Then you have like the wings and the other compartments that hold fuel. So remember, we have 3 external fuel tanks. One in the middle, 2 on either wing. Or 1 on either wing, I should say. I'll do just some small flight maneuvers here, just kind of, joyride through these canyons a little bit, and then we'll land. It's just a kind of a quick rundown of the first look, I guess, of the game. Not going to get too crazy. Then the next few episodes, we're going to try to get into some combat scenarios. I have currently the few small planes that you start with, and then I have this F-18 obviously and the A-10. I do feel more comfortable with the F-18 just because I have more flight hours in it opposed to the A-10, but the A-10's a whole different ball game. I mean, different combat roles, a lot more switches. Afterburner here. We're going to do a little inverted flyover of this peak. Kind of, I guess, replicating the flight that you would have saw Top Cat Maverick Top Cat, Top Gun Maverick. This is the same jet that they fly in that movie.
Low right, low right.
That roll right, that was Bitch and Betty telling me that that's too low. Right now you can see our speed, we're Mach 1.4, so if I go into this flyby, you'll be able to hear that sonic boom. Mach 1, we are speeding. Can't talk today. Faster than the speed of sound. Afterburner does burn a lot of fuel.
Altitude. Altitude.
So that beep, that was the stall warning. That was a pretty tight turn. But just wanted to show you guys I don't know, I'm amazed by this game every time I'm in it. Just the simple fact of how realistic it feels. Alright, so we're just now making our approach to land. Just put our flaps at full, we're getting our gear down.
Altitude. Altitude.
Alchik, in field, 1-1, request landing. Alchik, in field, 1-1, request landing. Field 1-1, Roger, clear to land, runway 24.
So if you see to the left of the HUD, you should see those two red arrows, or like hash marks coming down. That's the angle of the aircraft. You want that to be in the green, so we're going to want to be tilted up. Sorry, not in the green. You want it to be on the two yellow ones. Just trying to get my angle here, the angle of the dangle right. We'll start shedding airspeed this way as well. but we got on the ground, so you're gonna get the subpar simulator from me, but the practice, man, it's been a while, like I mentioned earlier, since I've played this. So that's gonna do it here for our first look at DCS World. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm gonna try to get some more videos up for you guys once I get my training wheels off and feel a little more comfortable with it. Like I said, it's been a while. This is my logbook here. I was going to show you. It shows you all the aircraft that I've flown. This is just the general tab. So that's my total flight hours, daytime flight hours, nighttime landings, how many times I've ejected, aerial refuelings, air-to-ground kills, air-to-air kills, naval if I had any, how many times I've died. Done that a few times. I have one friendly AA kill that was an accident, but the F-18C, I have a majority of my flight time in that aircraft. So yeah, that one's the one I feel more comfortable with. The A-10, I've got some in, but it's been a while. I'll try to show you that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll get another couple episodes up here, and until next time, take it easy, and we'll catch you later.